So welcome. Today we are decoding an exceptionally unique and highly testable chapter for your AIAPGT preparation, Jalauka Adhyaya from Sushruta Samhita Sutrasthana, 13th chapter. The chapter is a definitive guide on leech therapy, and while it may seem simple on the surface, the examiner's approach to it is anything but simple. Let me be completely honest about this chapter reality. It is a strictly medium to high yield area. However, students frequently make the massive error of only memorizing the names of the 12 leeches, Jalaukas, while completely ignoring their specific morphological descriptions and their precise protocols for their maintenance and post-operative care. You must go beyond the basic to secure very good marks. So if you analyze the previous year question papers, examiners repeatedly target the specific morphological features of the Savisha and Nirvisha Jalaukas. You will see questions asking which leech has a mouth shaped like a horse hoof, or which is one of the color, which Jalauka has the color of a green bean, that is Mudga. So you must immediately associate that horse hoof sign is nothing but the sign of biting of the Jalauka. And also Mudga Varna is the sign of Kapila or Pundarika Mukhi Jalauka. So the biggest trap here is where top students consistently lose mistake is that maintenance of Jalauka schedules which are explained as 3 days or 7 days. Okay. Examiners will test the exact timeline. So you must strictly remember that water and food for each of the Jalauka is given on the 3rd day, while the entire pot must be changed on the 7th day. Furthermore, they love to test the exact disease caused by the incomplete vomiting or the ayogya of vamana of the Jalaukas. You must know that Sushruta terms this condition as Indramada, while Vagbhata refers to it as Raktamada. So your practical strategy for this chapter must be highly systematic. For your deep focus, create a mental table comparing the 6 poisonous, that is a Savisha, and 6 non-poisonous, that is Nirvisha Jalaukas, strictly associating with one visual characteristic with each name. Know that the bite of Indrayudha is explicitly stated as Asadhya or incurable. For your smart revision, focus purely on the procedural milestones. Remember the exact indication for each removal. The patient will begin to feel Toda and Kandu, which signals that Shuddha Rakta is being drawn by the Jalauka. In the examination hall, when you face a question about the leech application or removal, do not rely on general knowledge. Recall the specific technical terms, verify the exact timeline or symptom, and do not confuse the preoperative application of the Sarshapa and Haridra paste with the post-operative application of Saindava and Taila. So they are entirely different. The ultimate takeaway here is that procedural chapters demand absolute adherence to the prescribed timelines and specific clinical signs. Master the exact morphological descriptions, lock down the maintenance schedules, and internalize the specific signs of pure blood extraction. Trust your structured revision, stay precise under pressure, and step into the examination hall ready to claim your rank. So let us get started with Jalauka Adhyaya. So first of all, the first slide what we are studying is the definition of Jalauka. So why Jalauka is called so? So you can see the definitions or the nirukti here. So Jalamasam Ayuriti Jalayukaha. So Jalamasam Ayuriti. So Ayu is the life. The Jala is the life or the Ayu of Jalauka. So since it is the life of Jalauka is dependent on the Jala, it is called as Jalauka. And also Jalamasam Oka iti Jalaukasaha. So Oka is the habitat, the place where it is residing or it is mainly located. So since Oka or the Jala is the main sthana or the habitat of Jalauka, it is called as Jalaukasaha. So these two are the derivations from which the word Jalauka has been derived, and it denotes the meaning of the word Jalauka as the main life of Jalauka is depending on water, Jala, and it is mainly the Ayu. Ayu itself is the life of Jalauka. The Ayu of Jalauka is nothing but Jala. So hence the name Jalauka. So who all should be indicated with, or who all should be administered with Jalauka Ucharana? So for Rakta Mokshana. So basically there is a list of indications which are given whom we should indicate Jalauka Ucharana. So before that, in the commentary, Dalhanacharya explains that, so among the Raktamokshana methods, there are multiple methods of Raktamokshana, like it can be Siraveda, it can be Prachana, it can be use of Shrunga and Alabu, it can be Jalauka Vacharana. So among them, who should be indicated for Jalauka, who should be indicated for Siraveda has been specifically mentioned by Acharya Dalhana in the commentary part. He says, if the person or if the patient is Paramasukumara, so then ideally Jalauka Vacharana should be done to the patient. Or if the patient is Sukumara, so not very Paramasukumara or not very delicate, but still the patient is Sukumara, then one can go for Shrunga and Alabu for Raktamokshana. And coming to the last one, if the patient is completely Asukumara, so who is having a good Bala, who is having a Pravara who is having pain tolerance, a higher pain tolerance or Vedana Saha Shakti, so then one can go for Prachana or Siravyada. So depending on whether the patient is Sukumara, Paramasukumara or Asukumara, so one can decide the exact method of Raktamokshana. So here Jalauka Charana mainly is indicated in Nrupa, Adya, Bala, Sthavira, which is important, which is the elderly people, Sthavira, Bhiru, Durbala, Nari, and Sukumara and Paramasukumara. So as per Sushruta, Sukumara and Paramasukumara both are indicated for Jalauka Charana, whereas as per Acharya Dalhana, Paramasukumaras are mainly indicated for Jalauka Charana. For Prachana or for Alab, for Sukumaras, it is Alabu and Shrunga is used for Raktamokshana. So that is the difference between the opinion of Acharya Sushruta and Acharya Dalhana. So coming to the selection of the doshas or the selection of the methods of Jalauka, methods of Raktamokshana as per the dependency of or the as per the predominance of doshas. So if that Vyadi is Vataja predominant, so one should go for Shrunga. So using of Shrunga, Raktamokshana should be advised. Why Shrunga? Because Shrunga is Madura in nature, Snigdha, and it is Ushna in Virya. So because of these properties, Shrunga should be selected for Raktamokshana in case of Vataja predominant or Vata Dushita Vyadis. Coming to Pitta, so Jalauka would be the preferred line of treatment because it is the properties of Jalauka is it is Madura, it is Shita in potency, and it is residing in Jala, which is the opposite property of Pitta. Hence, for Pittaja Vyadis, Pitta related disorders, you can go with Jalauka Ucharana. And third, for Kafaja Vyadis, you can go with Alabu, as Alabu is Katu, Ruksha and Tikshna, which is all the properties opposite to that of Kapha. Hence, you can go with Alabu for Kapha predominant or Kapha Dushita Vyadis. So, these are the selection of Raktamokshana methods depending on the predominance of the doshas. So, moving on. So, why the same justification? Why it is different methods of Raktamokshana are indicated in case of different Vyadis depending on the doshas. So, previously we have seen the properties, but how it is done is explained in this slide. So, for example, Shrunga, usage of Shrunga. So, on the site of the Vyadi, a small incision is made. After the incision is made, the Shrunga is placed. The Shrunga will be placed, and the other opening, where the broad opening is placed over the incision which is made, and the smaller opening, Achushana, will be done. So along the smaller opening, Achushana will be done by covering the opening with a small cloth, avastra. So Achushana should be done, and that is the method of using Shrunga for Raktamokshana. Coming to Jalauka Charana, which will be discussed in the further slides, the detailed procedure of how Jalauka can be used will be discussed in the further slides. Coming to the last one, use of Alabu for Raktamokshana. So very important, Alabu, you should remember the word. Sa Antardeepa. So Sa Antardeepa refers to, for example, in a condition where there is a Vyadi here, for example, on a surface, this is the surface where a Vyadi is located, and we are using Alabu for Raktamokshana. So Pracharna should be made over the site. So followed by A small lamp should be kept like this. You can see in the image. Antardeepa should be kept, which is lighted, and over this, alabo should be placed. So alabo is placed over this, and that sa antardeepa or the lamp which is lit inside creates a negative pressure, and with the help of the pracharna that we have already made over the surface, it sucks the blood out. It sucks the dushita rakta out of the pradesha. So this is the method of usage of alabu in case of kapha predominant vyadis used for rakta mokshana. So these are the methods of using of Shrunga and Alabu. The method of using of Jalauka will be discussed further. So coming to the collection of Jalauka. So for application of Jalauka, first we have to collect the Jalauka. So from where, which site we have to collect the Jalauka is the important point. So here, based on whether it is Savisha or Nirvisha, the site or the availability of Jalauka is decided. So Savisha Jalauka is usually seen or usually obtained in the places where there is kota is nothing but the putrefaction. Over a period of time, if a substance is kept at one place over a period of time, that attains kota or it attains putrefaction. Here, because of accumulation of matsya, kita, durdura, mutra, and purisha. So accumulation of all these things in stagnant water results in kota of these things and makes the jala kalusha. So this kalusha ambu, which is having the kota, the putrefied product of all these things, will result in the formation of Savisha Jalauka. So this is the important place where Savisha Jalauka will be obtained. Coming to Nirvisha Jalauka, here also kota will lead to the formation of Jalauka, but kota of which substances? Here kota of Padma, Utpala, Nalini, Kumuda, Pundarika, Saugandhika, and Kuvala. All these types of flowers, which are fragrant flowers, are undergoing putrefaction in the water, and similarly in Vimalambu. In clear water, or in a flowing water, if these putrefaction are seen, which are containing the putrefied product of all the aromatic flowers, so in those Vimalambu, you can see the Nirvisha type of Jalauka, which are of 6 types. Both Savisha type and Nirvisha type are having 6 types, and we can see the changes in the materials which results in kota of the water, and in Kalusha Ambu you can see the Savisha Jalauka, in Vimala Ambu we can see the Nirvisha Jalauka. So these are the important features that you have to remember with respect to the location of availability of the Jalaukas. Coming to the Savisha Jalaukas. So now we shall go through the Savisha Jalaukas to remember the names of Savisha Jalaukas. So remember a mnemonic, which is gas kick. So remember the mnemonic gas kick, GASKIK. So which is very easily you can remember. So what does gas kick stands for? G for Gochandana, A for Alagarda, S for Samudrika, K for Krishna, I for Indrayuda, and K for Karbura. So remember the word gas kick. It is a mnemonic with which you can easily remember the names of all the Savisha Jalaukas, which are 6 in number. So now we shall see the individual properties of each Jalauka. So coming to the first one, Krishna. So as the name itself says, it is Krishna in Varna, and it is Anjana Churna Varna. Anjana Churna is nothing but Anjana is the collyrium which is used for the eyes, which is also black in color, which is Krishna Varna. So Anjana Churna Varna is Krishna, and it is also Prutu Shiraha. So you can see the images. Try to capture these images in your mind. Try to remember the images, which will help you in easily remembering the features of all the Jalaukas. So if you remember the images in your visual memory, it will automatically help you in detecting the features or understanding or remembering the features of these Jalaukas. So see Prutushira. So the whole of the Shira is Prutu, which is wide, broad, and also it is the whole of the color is Anjana Churna Varna, which is the color of the collyrium. So this is the first one, that is Krishna, which is one among the Savisha Jalauka. Coming to the second one, Karbura. It is Varma Matsyavadayata. So Varma Matsya. So Varma Matsya is snake fish. So it is in general terms, it is called as snake fish. So Varma Matsi Vadayata. So it is similar to the Varma Matsya, which is snake. You can see in the image, it is very slender, which is narrow like a snake. That is why Varma Matsi Vadayata. And next it is Chinnonnata Kukshihi. Chinna Unnata Kukshi. Chinna Kukshi and Unnata Kukshi. So Chinna Kukshi is, it is divided. It is divided into two equal halves, where one is of different color, the other is of different color. You can see the image of the fish also here. The lower half is one color and the upper half is one color. So that is a differentiating feature. Also it is Unnata Kukshi. It is having a slightly elevated Kukshi here. You can see the middle part, that is the Kukshi, which is slightly elevated. So Chinna Kukshi, which is divided into two colors, Unnata Kukshi, which is slightly elevated. So these two are the properties of Karbura. Coming to this third one, Alagarda, which is very easily you can remember this. It is Romasha. It is covered with hair. So Romasha is, you can see the image here, it is completely covered with hair. Second one, it is having Mahaparshva. The sides or the middle portion of the Jalauka is having a wide, broad structure. So you can see the Mahaparshva in the middle of the Jalauka. So this is Mahaparshva, and last one, Krishnamukhi. The mouth is black in color. So it is Romasha, Mahaparshva and Krishnamukhi. So these three are the important features. So always try to picturize the Jalauka images in your mind. So that will help you recall the properties of Jalauka easily. Moving on to the next three types. Indrayuda. So it is very easily you can identify the feature, as the name itself says, Indrayuda. So it is Indrayuda Vat Raji. So it will have Indrayudavat Urdhvaraji. So over the body, so the Urdhvaraji or the lines or the stripes that are appearing over the body looks like Indrayuda or rainbow. So you can see the image also, which is colorful. So it is Indrayuda type of Savisha Jalauka. Next one is Samudrika. Samudrika Ishad Asita Pitaka. What is the color? Ishad, Asita and Pitaka. So Ishad is slightly, it is Asita, which is black in color. So you can see the black stripes, black columns, and also it is Pitika. It also has slight yellowish color. So slightly blackish and yellowish. So that you can see in the image, black and yellowish. And next, very important, Vichitra Pushpakriti. So over the Prushta, you can see Vichitra Pushpakriti. In the image, you can see different flower images are there on the Jalauka. So this Vichitra Pushpakriti over the Prushta of the Jalauka is seen in this type of Samudrika Savisha Jalauka. And the last one, Gochandana, it is also having a very typical characteristic feature. You can see Go Vrishanavat Adobhage Dvidi Bhuta. So Go Vrishanavat. So it is just like the scrotum of the go. The Adobhag of the Jalauka will be divided into two equal halves. So that is Go Vrishanavat Adobhage Dvidi Bhuta. So the whole of the bottom of the Jalauka will be divided into two equal halves, just like the scrotum of the go. And second feature is, it is Anumukhi. The mouth or the tip of the mouth will be small or it is narrow. That is Anumukhi. So these are the six very important Savisha Jalauka and their characteristic features, which you have to very carefully remember, and they are very, very important for AIAPGT point of view. So moving on to the next. So what happens if the Savisha Jalaukas bite? So usually Savisha Jalaukas are not taken for Jalauka Ucharana, but what if they bite accidentally? So what are the features that you can see if a Savisha Jalauka is has bitten a patient or accidentally bitten somebody? So one can see Atimatra Shvayetu, Kandu, Murcha, Jwara, Daha, Chardi, Mada, and Sadana. So the localized features will be Kandu, Atimatra Shvayetu, Daha, and so localized Daha, and systemic features like Murcha, Jwara, Mada, Sadana, and Chardi, Jwara. So these are the rounded ones are the systemic features, and the underlined ones are the localized features. So these are the symptoms of symptoms that you can see in case of Savisha Jalauka Damshra. So coming to the prognosis, how it can be treated or what has to be given for treatment of this. So if there is a bite of Savisha Jalauka with which is nothing but Indrayuda, which is one among the type of the Savisha Jalauka which has Indrayudavat Urdhvaraji. You can see the Indrayudavat Urdhvaraji, so which is similar to rainbow colors. So it is considered to be asadhya. It is not curable. So if the other types of Savisha Jalokas have bitten the person, then it can be cured with Mahagada, which is a Agada preparation, which is mentioned in Sushruta Kalpa 5th Adhyaya. So Mahagada is a Agada preparation which is mentioned in case of Sushruta Kalpasthana 5th Adhyaya, and this Mahagada can be used in 3 different forms. So what are they? The first one, Pana, Alepa, and Nasya. So it can be used in Pana, Alepa, and Nasya. In all the 3 forms, this Mahagada can be prepared and it can be administered to the patient in all the 3 different forms. So this is the treatment for the bite of Savisha Jalauka. If you have watched this video till this point, it means one thing: you are serious about AIAPGET and you are genuinely searching for the right guidance. So give us just 2 minutes of your time. We would like to tell you about our Navasankalpa AIAPGET 2027 batch. At VEDAS for Vaidyas, we believe that cracking AIAPGET is not about studying harder for few months. It's about studying smarter, studying consistent, and having the right mentors throughout your journey. That's why we have built an ecosystem, not just a coaching course. You'll be guided by 47 plus experienced professors from across India, supported by our AI-powered learning ecosystem and a structured plan designed to help you to complete the syllabus with confidence. What can you expect? Daily live classes, weekly mentorship sessions, regular doubt solving sessions, weekly, monthly, and periodic tests, performance analysis after every assessment, revision strategy, motivation and accountability, everything planned systematically from day 1 until your postgraduate admission. This is not just preparation for AIAPGET. It is preparation for becoming a better Ayurveda postgraduate. One thing we want to tell you very honestly: you are not investing just 1 year. You are investing one of the most valuable years of your career. The decisions you make today can define where you'll study, who you'll study from, who you'll learn from, and the opportunities you'll have in the future. That's why we don't want you to join us just because you watched us in one video or saw one advertisement. We are not discussing fees or making big promises here. Instead, we invite you to experience our teaching first. Send us a message, talk to our academic team, watch our demo classes, explore our learning ecosystem, interact with our professors and mentors. If, after experiencing everything, you genuinely believe that VEDAS for Vaidyas is the right platform to help you achieve your dream rank, then welcome to the Navasankalpa batch. Because our goal is not to just increase the admissions. Our goal is to create successful postgraduates and future leaders in Ayurveda. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the demo class and hopefully will be a part of your AIAPGET journey. VEDAS for Vaidyas, one step ahead for quality education in Ayurveda. Now coming to Nirvisha Jalaukas. Again, there are 6 types just like the previous Savisha Jalaukas. How do you remember the names? Very simple. mnemonic that you can remember is KPS and MPS. KPS and MPS. So K stands for Kapila, Pingala, Shankamukhi, Mushika, Pundarika Mukhi, and Savarika. So in a very simple order, KPS, MPS. Now we shall see the individual characteristic features of each. So Kapila. So it is having Manashila Varna. The Parshva of the Kapila will have Parshvaha Manashila Varnaha, and the Prushta will be Snigdha and it will have Mudga Varna. The Parshva will be Manashila Varna, Prushta will be Mudga Varna, and it is Snigdha in nature. So this is the characteristic features of Kapila. Coming to Pingala, it is Kinchidrakta. So Pingala itself, the word Pingala itself is slightly, it denotes the color. It is a tawny color. Okay, that is what is Pinga refers to. And it is Kinchid Rakta Varna. It is sort of similar to the Rakta Varna. And it is Vrittakaya. So it is circular or round bodied, and it is Ashuga, which is fast moving. Underline this, very important, Ashuga type of Jalauka. So which Jalauka is very fast compared to all the other Nirvisha Jalaukas, as it is mentioned specifically for this Jalauka, that is Pingala. You can remember it. Ashuga is Pingala. Coming to the third one, Shankamukhi, it is Yakrit Varna. So Yakrit Varna, you can see in the image, the whole color of the body looks like the Varna of the Yakrit, and it is Shigra Paini. Shigra Paini is that which sucks or takes up the blood quickly, very quickly. And last one, Dhirga Tikshna Mukhi. Dhirga Mukhi, Tikshna Mukhi. Dhirga Mukhi is which is long, Tikshna Mukhi which is pointed. So Dhirga Mukhi and Tikshna Mukhi are the properties of the third type, that is the Shankamukhi. And it is Yakrut Varna in color, and it is Shigra Paini. Ashuga, which moves faster, that is the Pingala, and Shigra Paini is Shankamukhi. Coming to the next three types of Nirvisha Jalaukas, which is Mushika. As it is, the name itself says Mushika Kriti Varnaha. So the Varna or the color of the Jalauka will be Mushika Varna, Mushika Kriti. It is similar to the shape of the Mushika, it is not exactly Mushika, and the Varna is also similar to the Mushika. And it is Anishtagandha. So as the smell of the rat, it is Anishta. Just like that, the smell of the Jalauka will also be Anishtagandha. It is similar to that of Mushika. Then Pundarika, Pundarika Mukhi. So it is Mudga Varna. So color is similar to Mudga, which is greenish in color. You can see in the image. And also Pundarika Mukhi. The name itself says it is having mouth which is similar to that of Pundarika, which is the form of lotus. Okay, it is broad. It is not exactly like a lotus, which is broad and it is wide mouthed. So that is Pundarika Mukhi. So Mudga Varna and Pundarika Mukhi. And the last one, Savarika, which is very important, slightly having specific features here. Savarika, it is Padma Patra Varna. The color will be similar to the leaf of the lotus, that is Padma Patra Varna, and it is 18 angula in length. So very, very important, 18 angula in length, and it is mainly used for animals. So this is not used for Rakta Mokshana in case of human beings. So the last one, Savarika, which is 18 angula, which is very lengthy, is mainly used for Rakta Mokshana in case of animals. It is not for human beings. So this indicates that Jalauka Avcharana or Rakta Mokshana was also indicated and practiced in Pashu Ayurveda also. In Pashu Chikitsa also, the same thing was, the same principle was being used, and specifically Savarika type of Jalauka was indicated in Pashu Chikitsa for Rakta Mokshana or Jalauka Avcharana. So this completes the 6 types of Jalauka and their individual characteristic features. Try to make a table out of it and picturize the images which are displayed here. That will help you in remembering the features very easily. So just by hearting without memorizing or imagining the picture would be very difficult. So these pictures will help you in remembering their characteristic features. So moving on, where the Jalaukas are usually located, what are the regions where Jalaukas can be obtained, and how we can catch that is seen in the present slide. So the regions like Yavana, Padya, Sahya, and Pautana. So these are the places mentioned. So these are not the present places names. These are the names of the early days, where the present day it can be compared to the region on the north and north western side. Okay, so they are Yavana, Padya, Sahya, and Pautana. And in which season the Jalauka should be collected? They are usually collected in the mid or the end of Sharad Rutu. So they should be collected in the mid of end of Sharad Rutu, because in Sharad Rutu again, because of the Ushnata, because of the Ushna Viryata or the of the Rutu, the Jalokas are usually on the surface of the Jala, and also as the amount of water is slightly reduced in Sharad Rutu, it is easier to catch it. So hence Sharad Rutu is advised for catching of the Jalokas. And how is to be caught? How the Jalokas are to be caught? It is caught with the help of Ardhra Charma. The Ardhra Charma should be kept or should be dipped in the regions where the Jalokas are usually found, and the Jalokas come and attach or get stuck to the Ardhra Charma. They bite the Ardhra Charma. Hence, after the biting of the Jalokas are seen, one should take out the Ardhra Charma and they should be removed or they should be taken off. Okay, this is how the Jalaukas are usually caught without harming them. So we are not using any nets. We are naturally using the Ardhra Charma here. This was the earlier method. Nowadays, all the Jalaukas or the leeches are bred in captivity and they are grown. So it is not the same method used now. Whereas in the earlier days, Ardhra Charma was used for collection or for catching or capturing the Jalaukas. So what are the ideal Jalaukas? What qualities of Jalauka should be collected and should be used for Chikitsa? So for that, a very clear description of the nature of the Jalaukas has been explained. So what are they? Mahasharira, Balavatyah, Shigrapainyo, Mahashana, Nirvishascha Visheshena, Bhavanti. So these are the features of ideal Jalauka. Features of ideal Jalauka. So Mahasharira, it should have a lengthy Sharira. It should not be too wide, it should not be too broad, but it should be Mahasharira. Length and wise, it should be proportionate. That is what is Mahasharira. And Balavatyah, so it should have a strong, well built structure. It should not be very weak or it should not be very fat or alpagami. So that what is Balavatyah means. It should be strong enough to hold to the area of the site and suck the required amount of blood. Shigrapainyu. So it should be able to suck the blood faster. It should not be very slow in sucking the blood. And Mahashana. So Mahashana is one which is having a good appetite or good nature of sucking the blood. So that is Maha Ashana. Ashana is to eat. So here Mahashana refers to which has the capability of taking up of a good amount of blood. So that is Mahashana. And finally, Nirvishascha. All the Nirvisha types of Jalaukas, those properties should be seen here. So Savisha Jalaukas are not usually indicated for Chikitsa. That is the important thing that you have to remember. So Mahasharira Balavatyah Shigrapainyo Mahashanaha Nirvishascha Visheshena. So all Nirvisha type of Jalauka should be selected and should be used for the Chikitsa for human beings. So these are the features of ideal Jalauka. So remember these features. On how to store, once you have collected the Jalaukas, how to store them, how to maintain them, and what are the things to be fed and how it has to be kept alive. Okay, they are explained here. So once after the collection, they should be kept in Gatha. They should be kept in Nava and Mahat Gatha. So wide based Gatha should be taken, a pot should be taken, preferably the earthen pot, and it should be filled with water which is having the pond water from where they are collected, and in that it should be kept. And usually that lake or pond water should contain Sara and Tadaga Udaka. So which is Sarodaka or Tadaga Udaka is nothing but the water from the area of their collection. Because the Jalauka should not feel that it is being shifted to a new environment. To make the Jalaukas comfortable, to reduce their agitation, Sara and Tadaga Udaka, that is the pond or lake water, should be collected and should be used. And also Panka can be added to that. Slight mud water can be added to simulate the natural environment of its near living environment. So it should not feel that it has been shifted to a very different or artificial environment. Hence, panka can also be added, which is a mud water. So followed by this, once it is kept in the gata, so what has to be given for bhakshyartha? So Jalauka also needs some ahara for its living. So what are to be given for bhakshyartha? So usually shaivala. Shaivala is a type of algae or a moss that grows in water, that has to be given. That is shaivala. And also vallura can be given. Udaka jata mamsa. So dried mamsa of aquatic animals can be given. And also vallura, which is a dried form of meat, can be given to the Jalaukas. So this can be kept in the same container as the Jalaukas are kept, and that will stick to the structures and they consume it. And also one can also go with Churni Kritya Kanda. So Churni Kritya Kanda. So Kanda, which are usually grown in the aquatic places, should be taken, should be dried and made into churna form, and they should be given to the Jalauka as ahara. And also Kaseru. So Kaseru is nothing but a different type of tubers. So these tubers can also taken, dried and made into powder, churni kritya, and then it should be given to the Jalauka for in the form of bhakshyartha and in the form of ahara. So next after bhakshyartha, so one should also see for shayyartha. So Shayyartha refers to what are the beds that are to be made for Jalauka to rest on it. So there should be some surface on which the Jalauka can go and rest or lie down. So that is the Shayyartha. So for Shayyartha, different patra of aquatic plants can be used. So the patra of aquatic plants can be kept in the same gata, and that can be used for Shayyartha of Jalauka. So for Bhakshyartha, we use Shaivala, Vallura, Udakajata Mamsa, and also Churni Kritakanda and Kasiru. For Shayyartha, we are using the patra which is grown in the aquatic region. So those patra or the leaves can be used. So this is Shayyartha and Bhakshyartha. And next, what is the maintenance procedure? So once we have done all these setup, when do we have to change the water? When do we have to change the pot? That is also mentioned. So Trahyat. So every third day, the water and the remaining food particles should be changed. And every Saptaha, that is every seventh day, the whole of the gata should be cleaned and changed. So every third day, water should be changed. Every seventh day, the gata should be changed. So these are the important maintenance that one has to do for proper Jalauka to be maintained, and so that the Jalauka do not die or they can be kept for a longer period. So these are very, very important with respect to MCQs for AIAPGET also. So moving on, what are the Jalaukas which are not indicated, which are having Hina Gunas, or which are Hiya Jalaukas? So what are the features? So Madhyaha Stulaha, Stula Madhyaha. So Jalaukas which are very wide or broad in the Madhya Sharira. So they become very lazy to move, or they do not take too much of, they do not suck too much of blood. They are not Mahashanas. So hence Madhya Stula are not to be selected for Raktamokshana. Pariklishtaha. So Pariklishtaha refers to Amanognaha. So Pariklishta is Amanogna, which do not appear pleasant, which do not appear like pleasing. They are called as Pariklishtaha. As soon as we see that, they should not look disgusted, or they should not feel disgusted. So that is what is Pariklishtaha or Amanogna. Prutu, which is wide and which is flat. So prutu is wide and flat. So that should also be not indicated. Next, manda cheshtaha, which is very slow in movement. So that is manda cheshtaha, which is very lazy or which is very lethargic. That also should be not indicated. Agrahini, which do not suck or which do not bite the area properly. That is agrahini. Alpapayini. Alpapainya refers to which sucks a very little or very negligible amount of blood. That is called as alpapayini. And finally, all the characteristic features. Jalaukas having all the characteristic features of all the Savisha Jalaukas. So those also should not be selected for Jalauka Ucharana. So these are the Hiya Jalaukas or Ayogya Jalaukas for administering for Jalauka Ucharana. So these should not be selected. Next comes the method of application. What are the procedures that we have to follow? Pre-operative, operative and post-operative. So these comes under the pre-operative procedures of Jalauka Ucharana. So we have to make the patient lie down comfortably, just like in all the procedures. And we also have to do a mild garshana of the pradesha on which we are applying the Jalauka. So this will allow the Jalauka to properly get stuck to the area and start sucking the blood easily. So this garshana can be done using mrut or gomaya. So using mrut or gomaya, one can do a very minimal garshana over the pradesha so that it is easier for the Jalauka to catch the surface, followed by preparation of Jalauka should be done. So how preparation of Jalauka? So Jalauka should be applied with Sarshapa Rajani Kalka. Kalka of Sarshapa and Rajani should be applied. Rajani is nothing but Haridra. Sarshapa is sesame. So that should be applied and it should be made into Kalka form. It should be applied over the Jalaukas, or in the present day, just like how we activate the Jalauka by dipping it in the water which is dissolved with turmeric. Turmeric dissolved water. Into that we keep the Jalauka for some time for activating the Jalauka. So this activating is to remove the klama of the Jalauka. As the Jalauka will be kept in the gata for a very long time, for quite some time, they will develop klama. So to remove that klama and to activate the Jalauka before administering on the patient, we can use this method. Applying of Sarshapa Rajani Kalka for approximately 48 minutes. That is one muhurta. So for one muhurta, one should do this. Then the klama will be automatically removed and the Jalauka will be ready for application. So how do we apply the Jalauka? First, the site selected should be properly, Garshana should be done, and over the Garshita Pradesha, you can apply the Jalauka. And if Jalauka bites the area properly and gets stuck to the area, one should apply Shlakshna Shukla Ardra Pichu. Shlakshna Shukla Ardra Pichu. A Pichu which is white in color and which is Shlakshna and which is Shukla, white and which is smooth in texture, and which is ardra, which is filled or which is dipped in water, should be applied over the Jalauka, as in the image you can see. So this is done to maintain the cool temperature of the Jalauka so that Jalauka can suck the blood in comfortable position. So post this, if the Jalauka doesn't stuck to the area, if the Jalauka is stuck, then there is no problem at all. If the Jalauka is not getting stuck to the area or if it is not biting the area, then one should go for application of Kshira Bindu or Shonita Bindu. Over the Pradesha, one can apply Kshira Bindu or Akshonita Bindu, which will facilitate the Jalauka to bite the area and get stuck to the area. If this also fails, if the Jalauka does not bite the area even after Kshira Bindu Prayoga or Shonita Bindu Prayoga, one can also go with making Shastrapada. So one can also go for making a Shastrapada. Shastrapada is nothing but making a small incision or a Prachanna Karma over the site. So this is called a Shastrapada. Shastrapada is nothing but it's a Vaidyakrita Vrana. So it is nothing but we can take it as a small incision. That is called a Shastrapada. So that should be made and then Jalauka is applied over that. So then Jalauka will automatically get stuck to the area and it starts sucking the blood. Even after Shastrapada also, if the Jalauka doesn't bite the area and start sucking the blood, then one should change the whole Jalauka and repeat the same procedure. From the preoperative procedure, the same thing should be repeated. So this is the method of usage of Jalauka for Rakta Mokshana. So moving on, once the Jalauka has stuck to the area, it has bitten the area. How do we know that it has bitten the area properly? So we should see features like Nivishate Ashwakuravat Anana. So Nivishate is properly bitten. Nivishate, it has properly bitten the area. Once it is bitten, the mukha or the anana or the face of the Jalauka looks like Ashwakura, just like the oof of the horse. It looks like as if the mouth is similar to the hoof of the horse. That is Ashwakuravat Anana. So if Nishevana or Nishivate, it appears like Ashwakuravat Anana. And if it starts to suck properly, then Unnamyacha Skandam. Unnamyacha Skandam. Skanda is the shoulder. You can see here, as you can see the Ashwakuravat here, it has started, it has bitten the area properly and it has started sucking the blood. So hence the skanda or the shoulder will be slightly elevated. So Unnamya is slightly elevated. Unnamyacha Skanda. The skanda looks elevated. So this indicates that Samyak Grishniyat. So the Jalauka has properly stuck to the area and it has started sucking. So this is very important point that you have to remember. Ashwakaravattanana Nivishate and Unnamyacha Skandam Samyak Grishniyat iti. So it indicates it is properly stuck and it is started sucking. So when do we know that it has completely sucked the impure or the doshita rakta and it has begun or it has started sucking the adushita or prakrita rakta? So once the dushita rakta is being sucked, patient will not have any symptoms. Once it is completed and the Jalauka starts to suck the adushita or prakrita rakta, patient will start feeling toda and kandu. So these two are the important features one has to look for. As soon as the patient feels there is slight itchiness or there is pain in the area of the bite, then we should assess that, or we can suspect that the Jalauka has already finished sucking the Dushita Rakta and it has started sucking Prakrita Rakta, and then one should take off the Jalaukas. So usually Jalaukas after sucking of the Dushita Rakta, they leave automatically. If they do not leave, they should be sprinkled with, the mouth of the Jalauka should be sprinkled with Saindava, then they leave off automatically. So we will see what are the steps to be taken if the Jalauka doesn't leave automatically. So if the Jalauka doesn't leave automatically, then Saindava should be applied over the mukha of the Jalauka. So because of the irritation from the Saindava, it automatically stops sucking and gives away. So then one can take the Jalauka and advise or administered Vamana to the Jalauka. So Samyak Vamana of the Jalauka is a very important feature to keep the Jalauka active and ready for the next treatment after few days, and also to protect the Jalauka from other diseases which we'll see in the next. So how Vamana has to be done for Jalauka? First of all, Tandula Kandana Churna. Tandula Kandana is the powdered form of rice should be taken and applied over the Sarva Sharira of the Jalauka. Followed by this, it should be massaged with Taila Lavana. So first application of Tandula Kandana, powdered rice should be applied over the Sharira, and followed by Taila Lavana Abhyanga should be done over the Jalauka, specifically over the Mukha of the Jalauka, and followed by the Jalauka should be held in the left hand and in Anuloma Gati, that is important, in Anuloma Gati towards the Mukha, Amukhat. So remember the word Amukhat. So towards the mukha, the slight application of the pressure from the right hand should be done using the fingers. So that allows the Jalauka to vomit all the blood which it has sucked. So this is the Samyak Vamana procedure for Jalauka. So once the Vamana has been done for Jalauka, what are the Lakshanas that we have to see? If Samyak Vanta is there, what are the Lakshana? If Asamyak Vanta or Ayoga of the Vamana is done, what are the Lakshanas to be seen? Will be discussed next. If there is Samyak Vanta, so we can see Samyak Vanta Lakshana in Jalauka. So what are Samyak Vanta Lakshana? Salila Sarakenyasta. So remember this word, Salila Sarakenyasta. So Salila Sarakenyasta refers to it will be moving. Salila, it is moving fast or it is moving actively in the water. And Sarakenyasta refers to it becomes slightly active and it desires to eat something. That is Salila Sarake Rakta. Or if it is applied again, it starts sucking the blood again. That is Salila Sarakenyasta. So remember the word, very, very important for entrance. So this is the Samyak Vanta Jalauka Lakshana. So Asamyak Vanta or Durvanta Jalauka Lakshana is Sidati Na Cheshtate. So Sidati, it attains Sada. It becomes very lethargic or it becomes lassitude. It attains lassitude. And Na Cheshtate, it becomes very inactive. It doesn't move, it doesn't move around in the gata. So it becomes very inactive. That is Sidati Na Cheshtate. It attains Sada and becomes immobile. So these two are Durvanta Jalauka Lakshanas. Very, very important. And because of this, it develops a Vyadi called as Indramada. So Indramada is the Vyadi which is resulted due to abnormal or improper vomiting of Jalauka. That is Durvanta Jalauka will result in Indramada Vyadi. And the same has been explained by Acharya Vagbhata also in the name of Raktamada. Indramada by Acharya Sushruta and Raktamada by Acharya Vagbhata. But the features are one and the same. Indramada and Raktamada. So very, very important. Remember this. So moving on to the last part of the Jalauka Ucharana Vidhi Adhyaya, depending on how much Rakta Mokshana has been achieved. So it can be considered as Samyak Yoga, Ati Yoga or Ayoga. So based on this, the treatment should be done to the Vrana of the site of Jalauka. So wherever the Jalauka has bitten, that site should be treated based on whether it is Samyak or whether it is Ati Yoga or Ayoga. If there is proper letting of the blood by the Jalauka or proper sucking of the blood by Jalauka, it is what we call as Samyak Jalauka Ucharana Lakshanas. In this case, Shatadauta Grita should be applied along with Madhu and Shita Jala. So Shatadauta Grita along with Madhu and Shita Jala or individually, either Shatadauta Grita or Madhu and Shita Jala can be applied. In case of Samyak Jalauka Ucharana, if it is Ayoga Jalauka Ucharana, one should apply Madhu. Madhu Avagattayet. So Avagattana is properly rubbing the Madhu over the Pradesha. So Madhuna Avagattayet. And last one, if it is Ati Yoga, if excess blood is let out in Jalauka Ucharana, one should go for Shita Parisheka and usage of different dravyas for Pradeha. So Pradeha should be done, and this for doing the Pradeha, one should use Madhura, Snigdha and Shita dravyas, and Shita Parisheka should be done. So these are to be advised in case of Ati Yoga of the Rakta Mokshana using Jalauka Ucharana. So this is all about the important points that you have to remember in Jalauka Ucharana Vidhi.